The biggest winners and losers of the 2023 NFL Draft first round is going to be discussed in today's video, and we're going to quickly summarize, we're going to go through all of these and discuss, obviously, the biggest winners and losers. And Bryce Young to the Carolina Panthers. Big win for Carolina. You get who you think is the quarterback of your future. You traded up that far for a reason, and you didn't go up to get the second best, third best, or fourth best quarterback in the draft. So big win for Carolina, and that's the price of going up to get who you presume to be the quarterback of your future. Now, for the Texans to go back-to-back picks, I personally loved it, and I know they gave up a 2 and eventually another 1, but I don't have a problem with that because they still have a first-round pick next year, which is from the Deshaun Watson trade. So for DeMeco Ryans, a first-year head coach, you go up and get a pass rusher and you get your quarterback of the future. I personally loved it, and we're going to move on to pick 4 here. And as I am recording this, Will Levis he's still not been picked, and he is on a slide, and I'm going to try and get this video out as soon as the first round ends. So that's kind of why I'm trying to go through this a little quickly. This is kind of an abnormal video compared to the usual, but I just kind of wanted to give the background for that. So we're trying to speed through this, but Anthony Richardson, love the pick for the Colts. You put him in a situation with Jonathan Taylor and of course Michael Pittman and even Jelani Woods, a tight end. I love that fit for them. Now, if we want to kind of skip around to some of the biggest losers, I got to be honest, I did not like Green Bay's first-round pick of Lucas Van Ness, especially with every receiver on the board. Jackson Smith-Njigba, I thought for sure would have been a good fit for the Packers, and Lucas Van Ness can still be a good player for them. I just thought there was better opportunity for them. You're entering the Jordan Love era, and you opt to go with Lucas Van Ness. That's, we're going back to the same thing like we did with Aaron Rodgers. We're not going to give him a first-round weapon, all these years later. And I thought at the time, where we are now, of course, give him a weapon. Give him somebody. I know they have Christian Watson, who had a pretty good rookie year, all things considered, but I did not understand this pick. And by the way, another, to kind of go for, I don't want to say a loser because that's kind of, insinuating that Lucas Van Ness is not going to be a good player at the NFL level. And I'm not saying that as much as I'm saying I would have preferred another player for them in that specific situation. Now, another who I deem to be a winner here is the Pittsburgh Steelers, as everyone knew the Jets needed an offensive tackle, and of course they can still address that on day 2, but I don't understand. Let me back that up. I like Broderick Jones to Pittsburgh. Love that pick. I don't understand Will McDonald, and that's kind of, I tweeted this out. I was kind of live tweeting reactions. I like a lot of what the Jets have done over the past few years, and even the author of this article says, I'm not sure of this pick for this team. This is a little high for my liking, and they had some more pressing needs, and I could not agree more that I was not a fan of the Will McDonald pick at all. So I was not a fan of the Will McDonald pick, and this is actually one of my least favorite picks in the entire first round. So I was not a fan of this pick, and I thought for the Steelers to go up and jump right in front of the Jets for, I want to say it was just a 4th round pick. You go up and get your tackle of the future. You protect Kenny Pickett, which is something I had been preaching in the entire pre-draft process. I absolutely loved this pick for the Steelers. Now, one pick that I don't want to say that the Commanders are just straight up losers for taking Emmanuel Forbes. I would have preferred Christian Gonzalez, and if it was Christian Gonzalez and then Emmanuel Forbes, I wouldn't really question it, but I thought Christian Gonzalez was a better prospect than Emmanuel Forbes, as did pretty much everyone. So I wouldn't really say the Commanders are losers per se. I just thought that Christian Gonzalez was a better prospect, and it was a little bit of a reach, but kind of want to move on here, and we are going to go back up and go with some of these picks here. We're going to discuss a lot more of these in depth. There's going to be a lot of talk about the Lions with Jahmyr Gibbs at 12, just 4 picks after Bijan Robinson, and Jack Campbell at pick 18, and I have no problem with the Jack Campbell pick. It's the author of this says, I love this pick for the Lions. He'll be special. He's big, can run, and will improve as a cover player as he gets acclimated to the NFL game. He's one of my favorite players in this draft, and I could not agree more. And I never understood why Jack Campbell was kind of viewed as this, he's a mid-second round prospect, early to mid-second round prospect. I did not understand that all throughout the draft process, when I think that this player is going to be a damn good starter for quite some time. He's a high IQ player. He's a very good football player. So Detroit, the value some people might question, but I think they got two good starters in the first round. And I mean, they still have picked 34 because of the Cardinals trade, which, by the way, I did like the Cardinals going back and getting a future first, which we'll kind of segue into that. But for the Lions to get pick 34, which is at the start of Friday night, I absolutely loved that. And I really thought that they were about to parlay a trade back and still get Christian Gonzalez, and they very easily could have. And that worried the shit out of me as a Vikings fan. That very much worried me that they were still going to get Christian Gonzalez and number 34 overall. So I like what the Lions did. Some people might not, but I think they have high-level starters for some time. And speaking of liking what teams did, I absolutely loved, and I mean I loved what the Seahawks did with Devin Witherspoon, because there was so much talk that Devin Witherspoon's going 6 to Detroit. That's all we heard throughout. Devin Witherspoon, Dan Campbell's going to love him. He loves the mentality. Devin Witherspoon is a Lion. Seattle was very quiet all throughout the draft process. Hey, we like Devin Witherspoon, is what they apparently were saying internally. And they get him number 5. I could not be more happy with what the Seahawks have done over the past few years in terms of building their defense back. And there was a time where, not just me to be fair, but a lot of people were thinking, what are the Seahawks really going to do? Especially with Geno Smith, but Tariq Woolen, Devin Witherspoon, you really start to build that team up. Of course, Charles Cross and Abraham Lucas and Kenneth Walker and everybody else they have. I love what the Seahawks have done over the past few years. So, and of course, they also get Jackson Smith-Njigba to prepare for the eventual either what we presume to be release and or retirement for Tyler Lockett. So, absolutely love what the Seahawks did in round 1. I thought they were big winners. And Anton Harrison is the pick for the Jags. I like the Jags getting, this is a live reaction, so I like the Jags getting offensive line help. You have to protect Trevor Lawrence, and I like this pick quite a bit. It's pretty simple. I thought Anton had a little bit of a slide, considering the last tackle taken before Anton was Broderick at pick 14. I didn't think there would be a 13-pick slide between tackles, as there was a bit of a receiver run here in the early 20s. So good pick for the Jags, and they even traded. They traded out of pick 24 so that the Giants could come up and get. Deonte Banks. And by the way, I did want to credit the Buffalo Bills for going up to get Dalton Kincaid, and I actually tweeted this. And the reaction was basically, you have to deal with Travis Kelce, not twice a year. Sometimes it's been twice a year because they meet in the playoffs. And I realize I'm jumping around, by the way, but you deal with him twice a year, or sometimes twice a year, and you get a light version of him. Josh needs another weapon. All 4 receivers were gone. Let's not force Josh Downs tonight, and there's nothing wrong with Josh Downs, by the way. The pick is in for Cincinnati. But I love the pick. I said it was an A-plus pick. I'm not sure why this is graded as a C on here. This is, of course, on CBS. You guys can see it's not like I'm trying to hide CBS or anything, but I don't understand why this was a C grade. Absolutely loved it for them. And you get a legitimate number 1 tight end. Of course, Dawson Knox is there, but that's fine. This is a strange pick when you consider they have Dawson Knox and have a few more pressing needs. He's a good player, but the position doesn't make sense, and they traded up to get him. So I have no problem if you trade up only a couple of spots, and they traded in front of a team, in front of Dallas, that lost Dalton Schultz this offseason. So I personally loved this pick for Buffalo, and I thought it was a grand slam of a pick, and now you have to deal with Josh Allen, James Cook, Stephon Diggs, Dalton Kincaid, and Dawson Knox. So like I said, I absolutely love the pick. I strongly disagree with the C grade that CBS is giving them. So honestly, so far, guys, I think a couple of my biggest winners. I like the Texans getting two good players. I love the Seahawks draft. Absolutely loved what Seattle did. And there's a couple teams we have not discussed yet. Believe it or not, guys, I actually like what Atlanta did quite a bit. In 2021, they draft Kyle Pitts. 2022, they draft Drake London. And now they draft Bijan Robinson. Top 10 picks 3 years in a row on offensive skill position players. A lot of people are going to say, you know what, like they're Atlanta, they had Tyler Algier. That offensive line is nasty, and for anybody that's going to play Atlanta next year, they're going to be the ultimate pain in the ass. If you ever think of your brother or your friend that's just, they run cheese plays in Madden, that's what it's going to be like playing the Falcons. You're going to have to deal with Bijan and Tyler Algier, and if you get sick of dealing with those, oh great, we'll just throw a 6'6", 240-pound tight end that can run a 4.40 in Kyle Pitts right at you. So I loved the selection of Bijan Robinson and Jalen Carter. I'm not going to go through the entire first round and not discuss Jalen Carter, as the Cincinnati Bengals just selected Myles Murphy. No, Jalen Carter it's a lottery pick for the Eagles. If it works out and you hit the lottery, you have Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis on the same interior defensive line. We might have seen that somewhere before, just like we saw at Georgia over the past couple of years, or in 2021. But anyway, you get what I'm saying. It's going to be hell for opposing offensive line. So the Eagles move up one spot, give up a little to get a guy I think is the best player in the draft. He has some off-the-field issues, but this is a great spot for him. Howie Roseman wins again, A+ grade. I could not agree more with that assessment. I love the Jalen Carter pick, considering you were not supposed to have this pick to begin with. This was the Saints' first-round pick, and Howie fleeced it from him. So if you're going to take it on who is the best player in the draft from a talent standpoint, give me that every single time. Now, one player we have not discussed yet in the top 10 is Tyree Wilson, and I want to say, guys, I love this pick for the Raiders. I've been very, very critical of what the Raiders have done over the past few years, and a reason I love this pick so much is you have Patrick Mahomes and Justin Herbert, who are both under 30 years old, and I think Justin just turned 25, so he's only 25 in your division for effectively the next decade. You have to get after these guys, and to spend a top 10 pick on an edge rusher that's not Cleveland Farrell, that's actually a top 10 prospect in the draft, I'm all for it, and I like the Raiders pick quite a bit. A grade, agree with that as well. I like that pick for them. Darnell Wright, I thought it would have been Skoronski, and I like both picks for these teams. I think Darnell is a good player. I think Skoronski's a good player, and I liked the Bears pick. Like I said, I thought these two would have been flipped, but still think Chicago obviously gets protection for Justin Fields and even helps the run game out a little bit, which is something they desperately needed. So I like that pick for them. A pick we have not discussed yet is Kalijah Kancey, and this is one, it kind of just, I was like, okay. I mean, it's going to be a good pick in the long run, I think, for the Bucs, but I don't expect too much out of Kalijah as a rookie. And that may play into the Bucs trying to get somebody like Caleb Williams next year, maybe a long-term like lottery ball thing, like, hey, maybe this is what we're going to do. I just was not a fan, or not the biggest fan of the Kalijah Kancey pick. I like the prospect, just not the biggest fan of the pick, considering I think there's so many more needs, and this was a spot I thought Anton Harrison was going to go. Quentin Johnston, love the pick. Zay Flowers, love the pick. I was surprised that this is a C grade on CBS. Zay Flowers, I thought this was an A grade. I loved it. Jordan Addison, my Minnesota Vikings, they get a wide receiver 2 for Justin Jefferson, and we're going to be trotting out a trio next year of Justin Jefferson, TJ Hawkinson, Jordan Addison, and even a quartet with KJ Osborne. So this is the first round. Myles Murphy, like the pick for Cincinnati, and I like this pick because you have Sam Hubbard, you have Trey Hendrickson, and of course they lost in the AFC Championship game to who? Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. You have to get after these guys. You take a superb athlete in Myles Murphy. Love it. And that's actually going to wrap up the first round. I'm going to try and have this out as the first round is finished. I hope you guys enjoyed. I will be live for rounds 2 and 3. My Patreon and Twitter links are in the description. If you guys would enjoy following on there and support the channel, it would be very much appreciated. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and until next time, be safe and have a great rest of your night. Love you guys.